Hi everybody, this is Lara at pureelliottwave.com and I'm going to update my wave count for Cardano today with you. I've just updated my data which I've downloaded from Yahoo Finance. Let's take a look at what have I got here. Have I got a weekly wave count? Yeah, I've got weekly for Cardano but not monthly. So intermediate 2's continued a little bit lower and my invalidation point for this one should be down here at the start of intermediate wave 1. Let's just pull one of those in for the weekly chart. This is the bottom line for this wave count for Cardano at this time. While price remains above that point, this wave count at this time frame will remain valid. Let's get rid of volume, it's just cluttering up the place there. I'm not convinced though that this proportion is good now. Intermediate 2's just lasted too long. I wouldn't want to see primary 4 continuing because then it would be much longer than primary 1. Oh, I know. Okay, I'm going to do an alternate for Cardano. This is going to be really bearish though. Weekly. Alternate. I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm still in Cartagena in Colombia and I'm staying in the old walled city and it's a really noisy place. Super exciting, but well, it's just really noisy. So what if this? No, because then cycle 3 hasn't moved far enough above the end of cycle 1. Well, then the only other option I can see, I just wouldn't want to see this. The invalidation point would be down here. Well, no, it's invalid. So no, definitely not. Yeah, no, it looks wrong and it just is flat out wrong. So here's my alternate idea. Move it all down 1 degree. And let's bring in an Elliott wave impulse to this. And this will be primary degree. I love motive wave for this kind of thing. I love that with a couple of clicks you can move the degree of a whole thing down 1. It just makes changing the degree of labelling so easy. And that is someone asked me, well, people ask regularly, Lara, how do you know what degree to label something? Well, you kind of don't. You just have to kind of figure it out and let price tell you. You have to be open and flexible, which is the same for all technical analysis and fundamental analysis as well. There's nothing about any of this which is 100% certain, and anyone who pretends otherwise is probably lying. It's all an exercise in probability. So my invalidation point for this idea is going to be all the way back down here. This is so bearish. Primary 2 may not move beyond the start of 1. That's really bearish. That actually has a really good look. Whereas my weekly chart, just now intermediate 2's lasted longer. When it was over here, that actually looked pretty good, but it's just taken so much longer now, and it's still above the invalidation point. Well, I didn't put an invalidation point on my last wave count for Cardano, but this would be the invalidation point because 2 can't move beyond the start of 1. That would be the Elliott wave rule that has to be applied here. This looks better. This is really bearish. Okay, I'm going to pull in a Fibonacci retracement here, and this is something that Motive Wave, that's the software I'm using here, Motive Wave, which I absolutely love. Super fast, super simple, saves me so much time, but this is one of the little tricky things I don't like about it. If I view, so I'm viewing this on a semi-log scale. If I view it on an arithmetic scale, the 0.618 Fibonacci ratio is up here, 1.195711. I don't think you should be applying a logarithmic function to Fibonacci ratios. So intermediate 2 has already reached the 0.618 Fibonacci ratio, the arithmetic Fibonacci ratio of intermediate 1. It's already reached that, so the next thing is to see could the structure be complete. What I'm going to do here is calculate the normal range. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry about that background noise. Okay, 80 to 90% the length of primary 1. That would be a normal range for primary 2. That's a normal range for a deep primary degree second wave for a cryptocurrency. So I'm just going to calculate that and I'm going to put that in. Okay, so this would be a normal expectation for a primary degree second wave. 0.75 is 80%, the length of primary 1 from this low to this high, that's an 80% reduction in value. To 0.327 is a 90% reduction in primary 1. That's a pretty normal range for a primary degree second wave. I think this is probably now going to be my main wave count for Cardano after the continuation of downward movement. So let's take a look at this at the daily chart level and see how this subdivides. Okay, here we are on a daily chart. I'm going to look at this on an arithmetic scale for a lower time frame. Well, it could be a zigzag, and I think this is how I labelled it last time. I think I wanted to label this A, combination for B, and now we're looking at C continuing. Let's get some labels in here for A. I think this fits nicely as an impulse, yes, and I think B fits quite nicely as a double combination. W, X, expanded flat. Just checking that C moves beyond the end of A. Yep, it does. 2.37 is higher than 2.36. A is a 3, B is a 3. That looks great. Let's focus now on C because this is going to answer the question, is the structure complete? Okay, 1 looks like a good impulse. I think I'll leave that labelling there. Nope, let's put this here. Let's put this, okay, yeah, no. Let's put 1 here and 3 here. Oh yeah, that looks better. And then 3, is this going to fit? Is the third wave not going to be the shortest? Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so 1, 2, it looks like a triangle, doesn't it? A, B, C, D, E could be a barrier triangle. But 4 can't move into 1, so that would be invalid. Well, this is actually pretty bearish. If I have 1 and 2 here, then 3 is still in its relatively early phases with a bunch of overlapping to start it. Let's pull this up. Let's have 1 and 2 here. And we'll pull these down here, and now we've got another overlapping first and second wave. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to grab an arrow. I mean, that fits. Looks okay. It's just really quite bearish, isn't it? Where's my main wave count? Okay, so this is the main wave count, and the proportion of intermediate 2 at 15 weeks is now greater than primary 4 at 5 weeks and primary 2 at 7 weeks, so that doesn't look right anymore. It looked great last time I updated this, but now it just doesn't. Haven't updated that, that's okay. Oh, well, let's just see if it could be over. Let's just put some labels in if we see it's complete. No. Oh, well, see, this is problematic. I can't put 1 in, I can't put 1 and 2 here because then 4 overlaps 1. And if I do this, five looks all kinds of wrong. If I put 3 and 4 here, then minute 5 looks all kinds of wrong from here to here. That's a 3, not a 5. I don't think the structure's complete. I don't think downward movement is over. Okay, let's take a look at classic analysis for Cardano. At the weekly chart level first, I've already prepared these charts. Resistance 2.4, support 1.00, resistance also 1.4. Support at 1.00 is really strong. Price is falling, but volume isn't. For the last 2 completed weeks, volume is not pushing price lower, whereas previously it was. Not strongly, but it was. So a little bit of a slowing in downward movement. That we don't have to see volume push price lower in order to see price continue to fall quite a long distance with quite a good speed, because price can fall of its own weight, which is a shorthand way of saying price can fall due to a lack of activity from buyers just as easily and strongly as it can due to increased activity from sellers. So just because we have a decline in price doesn't mean downward movement has to end here. The opposite is not true. Upward movement should require sustained buying pressure to keep it going. On balance volume, not giving us any signals. This range is quite weak. Strong double bearish divergence at these highs between price and RSI. This would tend to support a more bearish wave count, but that could be resolved by this downward movement. It could continue lower though. If we're going to have a really bearish outlook for Cardano though, I think the bottom line is $1. I think we'd want to see price close below this point, which is strong support, about $1. On a downward session, closing below this point, well below that point, and maybe do the 3 days away rule, maybe 3 days below that as well. RSI neutral territory, it's not yet oversold. ADX indicates a downward trend. It's nowhere near extreme, so there's plenty of room for this downward trend to continue. And stochastics oversold, but we use RSI, not ADX, we use RSI, not stochastics, when ADX indicates a trend. And ATR declining as price falls. So a little bit of a weakness in volume and ATR. What about daily? There is very weak bullish divergence between price and RSI, between this low and this low here on price, and these are the equivalent points on RSI. ADX reached extreme, but not very extreme for the downward trend. It can reach much more extreme than that. RSI only just managed to dip into oversold. And that divergence is weak, but there is divergence. So there's some weakness developing, there is some bullish divergence. Maybe we're going to see a reaction. Maybe my Elliott wave count for the short term is wrong and seeing a single zigzag. Maybe we're seeing a double zigzag and we're about to see an X wave. Stochastics returning to neutral, ATR at the daily chart level also declining. I'm going to pop back to the Elliott wave count. And, there's the problem. I can't see C complete. Well, I could see it complete over here. That could be X. Oh, okay, right. Okay, yes. Okay, that's what I want to do. I'm just going to change this. Nope. Let's get rid of this. Let's put this here. Let's move this all down 1 degree. And now I'm going to bring in a double zigzag. This is what I think might be happening, and this fits classic analysis now, after taking a closer look at that. I want this to be intermediate degree. This could be the first zigzag in a double over here. This could be a brief shallow X wave, and we could be looking at wave Y, which could be... Now I wanted to consider possibly a triangle here. This works. Now it could be in a B wave position. Let's take a look. Does it fit? Yeah, it'll have to be a barrier triangle. This low, 1.187881. This low, 1.195. D is slightly below B. That's okay for a barrier triangle. The BD trend line should look essentially flat to the eye. This is the only Elliott wave rule which is not absolute. It involves an area of subjectivity. When I look at this BD trend line, it looks pretty much flat to the eye. Okay, so we could see B over there, it could move a little bit higher, and then C. Okay, that fits. Still the normal range is about the same. Doesn't have to reach that, but that would be a normal range. The wave count's essentially the same, but I'm not now expecting a winding up for a third wave down. Now I'm expecting a C wave down, which doesn't have to be as strong as the middle of a third wave. So this actually has a fairly good fit. It fits classic technical analysis. It's still bearish, but it's not immediately as bearish. This is going to be my main wave count for Cardano. And this, sadly, is the invalidation point a long way away, 0.19130. And so what I'm going to be looking for now for Cardano will be strength off lows. I want to see, when we do have a bullish candlestick pattern here, it does have support from volume, but it's not seen any follow through. If we start to see strong bullish candlesticks with support from volume, strength off lows, and we start to see ATR starting to support upward movement. Right now it's declining as price moves sideways. If we start to see support from volume, increasing ATR with upward sessions, then I would turn more bullish for Cardano. I have found that the lows for these cryptocurrencies are much, much harder to identify than the highs. And so waiting to see strength off lows, you're never going to get the actual low, but you're going to get in as soon as you can reasonably get in. Oh, and the other thing I want to see is the volume profile switch to bullish. I want to see recent sessions for upward days more strong than downward days. Kind of like this. This is a more short-term bullish volume profile. It didn't work on its own here. There was no bullish candlestick reversal pattern here. And there was no increase in ATR. So a combination of things altogether. Don't have to see a bullish candlestick reversal pattern, but it would be nice to see. So those, I'm going to be looking for strength off lows for Cardano before I have confidence that the low is in. For now, the analysis is going to be bearish, not strongly bearish, but reasonably bearish for Cardano. Thank you all so much for your support. And again, as always, if you want my analysis of Bitcoin in a timely fashion, every week on Monday, I'm providing that every week on Monday with text, charts and video on my website, pureelliottwave.com. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for the engagement from all the YouTube subscribers. I really do appreciate all of you. And a really Merry Christmas, everyone.